Hello everyone, I'm Aman, Principal Engineer at Cuelogic. Let's talk about DevOps today. What do companies like Amazon, Netflix, Google and Walmart all have in common? Apart from the fact that they are all widely successful companies, they all use a method known as DevOps in their day-to-day process to increase efficiency and improve delivery time. So what is DevOps and why it is so widely used? Let's take a small hypothetical example to illustrate this. Let's say there is a small startup that builds AI-enabled cleaning robots. There are 3 developers, let's be lazy and call that Team D, who write and execute the code to create the robots, and 2 operation people, of course Team O, who maintain the robot infrastructure in the real-world environment and provide support for the robot users. Team D has just spent 8 months creating the latest robot. It can recognize people, take commands from Alexa devices, and of course clean like a boss. Team D has spent time creating this robot in their controlled dev environment, and everything seems to be working smoothly. They couldn't be prouder. They hand over the creation to Team O, which promptly takes it out in the real world. That's when the problems start. It turns out that the perfect cleaning robot is not so perfect after all. It doesn't recognize everyone. Its capacity to follow Alexa commands breaks down when they are given by different people, and it can't reach and vacuum tricky shelves. Team O is angry and frustrated. They have been waiting for this robot for so long and they can't believe that it's an unmitigated disaster. Team D, on the other hand, is now on the defensive side. They believe that everything was working perfectly during control testing conditions, and the royal mess now must be because of Team O's poor execution. In conclusion, there's a suboptimal product in the market. It seems like corrections and improvements will now take almost as long as the product rollout did, and 2 very competent teams now hate each other and their jobs. That, in a nutshell, is why DevOps created and why more than 70% of small and medium businesses were adopting DevOps in their companies in 2016. A lot of heartache, frustration, and inefficiency could have been avoided had Team D and Team O worked with each other right from the conception and execution to delivery and support. Instead, they worked in silos with an imaginary wall between them. Team O had no involvement when the code was being written and the robot was actually being built, while Team D was completely out of the picture when the robot went out into the real world and cleaned many different houses. The result was a robot that was not ready for the market and a dev team that still doesn't quite know how to resolve things. As you can imagine, a lot of time will go by before the robot is finally market ready. There will be a number of iterations as Team D made some changes and Team O sends the robot out into the real world. And not just during the development, the same issue will continue when the robot needs maintenance and upgrades. As a result, even a small startup ends up becoming inefficient and slow, and there's a good chance that it loses out to the other companies that get superior products to market faster. This was the problem that companies started seeing, especially as technology became more advanced. Keeping their operations and development team isolated from each other was resulting in slower delivery and less efficient products and services. Moreover, many processes in the company operations that could have been easily automated to increase efficiency were not being automated because the developers were simply unaware of them. That's when the concept of DevOps came to the fore and began being adopted widely. DevOps is nothing but a set of philosophies, practices, and tools that help an organization to deliver better products faster by facilitating an integration of the development and operation functions. This enables companies like the one in our example to serve their customers and markets in a better way and have a competitive edge. DevOps implies a collaboration between the development and operation teams throughout all the stages of development lifecycle when a product is being created and operated. This starts from the design to the entire development process right up to the production support. How does using DevOps benefit an organization? The reason DevOps saw such a rapid adoption is that it truly makes a massive difference to how a tech company operates at a very fundamental level. Let's take a look at some of the benefits that accrue when a company adopts the DevOps approach. First one being accelerated innovation. This is a major reason that DevOps came into existence. Using DevOps allows companies to develop and deploy products much faster. As we saw in our earlier example, cycle times become significantly longer when there is a wall between development and operations. When the two are integrated, on the other hand, change sets are smaller and problems to be solved each time are less complex. Moreover, team members can make a software change easily since they only need to look at the latest code and not at all of it. Things like microservices and continuous delivery allow teams to take complete ownership of project and deliver them faster. Second one, collaboration. As our example has shown, a war between development and operation often results in an environment where the two teams don't trust each other and each is walking around a little blindly. This has long-term repercussions on the morale of the team and how motivated they are to work toward their goals. A DevOps approach results in a collaboration between the two teams and where they work, with a shared passion to achieve common goals. This creates a much more positive work environment where outcomes can be reached much faster and more efficiently. This also has other positive outcomes like enhanced job satisfaction and lower attrition. Next is reliability. Before DevOps, updating an application to meet changing user needs was a nightmare. There was always a chance that updating the application would compromise the quality required by the user. With DevOps tools like continuous delivery and integration, it is now easy to test the functionality of the software and keep security and quality in mind. Other processes like monitoring and logging help keep track of real-time performance metrics, which help maintain the reliability of the software. Next is security. Without DevOps, you have to often make a trade-off between speed and security, which results in delivery time becoming a lot more. With DevOps, you can use automated compliance policies, fine-grained controls, and configuration management techniques to maintain speed without compromising on security. Next is scalability. DevOps started growing in prominence as companies like Google, Amazon, and YouTube started finding it harder to manage their technology at scale with a wall separating development and operations. The automation and consistency that comes with DevOps allows you to manage and change complex systems more efficiently. What are some of the best practices for effective DevOps? While DevOps still means different things to different people, there has emerged a core of best practices that should be incorporated by companies looking at adopting DevOps. First one, active stakeholder participation. This is the fundamental guiding principle of DevOps. DevOps can succeed only if both developers and the operations and support staff are truly committed to collaborating and using an integrated approach to achieve goals. Next is automated testing. Automated regression testing is something agile teams adopt very often as it helps to fix problems right away and ship higher quality code. This works well in DevOps too, as a dire need of operations staff is that the code shipped should meet a certain quality standard. Next, integrated configuration management. In a DevOps environment, configuration management applies not only to the current solution being worked on, but also on the configuration issues between the solution and the rest of the organization infrastructure. Integrated configuration management helps operations team see the potential impact of new release more clearly, which helps in making better decisions regarding when the release should be made. Next, integrated change management. With integrated change management, operations and development teams work together to understand how using different technologies will impact the organization as a whole and then work towards managing that. Next, continuous integration. With continuous integration, that code is tested and analyzed whenever updated code is checked into the version control system. This provides immediate feedback on code defects, which allows developers to build a high quality solution with little risk. Next is integrated deployment planning. A DevOps approach means operations engineer will be closely involved with the developers when it comes to planning the deployment of products as per an organizational deployment schedule. Next is continuous deployment. With continuous deployment, when integration is successful in one sandbox, it is automatically promoted to the next sandbox and integration begins there. This continues until it reaches to the point where it requires human verification. This usually occurs at the point of transition from dev to operations. Next is production support. With DevOps, not only do developers work on new releases, but they also work on addressing critical problems with a solution that is already in production. Although they are the third and the last team to get involved in solving production issues, it is fairly common occurrence and gives them insights on production problems that help them design better solutions in the first place. Another one, application monitoring. This refers to the practice of monitoring and logging solutions real time once they are in production. This gives us performance metrics that improves the reliability of the solution and prevent failures. Last one, automated dashboards. DevOps allows us to create automated dashboards for several key metrics. All metrics cannot be automated, of course, but several key metrics can be seen real time using automated dashboards, and they provide critical business intelligence. What are the DevOps tools? In order to implement DevOps best practices described above, certain tools have been developed to maintain and facilitate different DevOps processes. While the right tools play a key role in effective DevOps implementation, simply using the tools does not mean DevOps adoption. Tools are only relevant when they are used at the last stage after the organization has already adopted the philosophy of DevOps and there is a commitment to execute its best practices. Although DevOps was not supposed to be about tools, with its evolution in the last few years, a number of technologies that were not part of the original concept have now become an integral part of DevOps. According to a research report, a linked toolchain of technologies has now become critical if DevOps is to bring about the change it's meant to. In recent years, there has been an explosion of DevOps tools for different DevOps practices. Here are just a few examples like release tools, Jenkins, Travis, TeamCity, Bamboo. Next is configuration management tools, Puppet, Chef, Ansible, CF Engine, SaltStack. Orchestration tools, Zookeeper, Noah, Mesos. Monitoring, virtualization, and containerization tools, AWS, OpenStack, Vagrant, Docker, New Relic, Sensu, Splunk, and Nagios. Coding tools, Jira, Git, Eclipse. Testing tools, JUnit, Zephyr, Selenium, Vagrant, SoapUI. So what are the key to effective adoption of DevOps? Adoption of organization-wide DevOps is a slippery slope because it requires a philosophical and a cultural change combined with more practical implementations of tools and best practices. If an organization simply aspires to the philosophy of collaboration and efficiency behind DevOps without doing the hard work of actually executing it on the ground, DevOps will remain a philosophy and nothing more. At the same time, simply adopting DevOps practices and tools without the philosophy and DevOps culture permeating across the organization is also futile. The starting point of a successful adoption of DevOps within your organization should be getting your development and operation teams fully committed to the cause. It is only after they are fully on board that the best of practices and DevOps tools should come into the picture. Thanks guys for watching this video with me. If you have any question regarding DevOps, leave them in comment. We'll try to answer them as soon as possible. For more information on technologies and different stacks, like the video, subscribe the channel.